Yo, what's up? Today, we're doing another tier list video. This time, we're doing which Gen 2 Pokemon would taste the best. Also, this video is sponsored by Factor. More on them later. Okay, so first up we've got Chikorita, which you might look at and think, I could just yank that leaf off the top of its head and put it on a burger. It would be perfect on a burger. And honestly, I'd agree. But it really is just a piece of lettuce at the end of the day. That's not gonna fill me up or anything. It's definitely yummy, but it's not gonna sustain me enough. It's just a piece of lettuce. Bay leaf, on the other hand, is literally a food. Like if you look it up on Google, bay leaf, food. It's just an absolute delicacy. And there's more of it. It's on the top of the head and around the neck. Meganium, on the other hand, has petals instead of bay leaf or what I call lettuce. And honestly, flowers don't taste good, at least to me. So if I'd eat it if I was desperate. Then we've got Cyndaquil, which, similar to Charmander in Gen 1, is already on fire and he's not cooking. So that means I can't cook it no matter how hard I try. So Cyndaquil is a no-shot. It would be raw. Quilava and Typhlosion, also on fire. They're both going in no-shot as well. It would just be eating raw meat. Next up's Totodile, which is just it's a mini crocodile. My brother's eaten crocodile jerky before, like beef jerky, but crocodile. I wouldn't eat it, but I guess if I had to, I would. So if I was desperate. Croconaw, pretty much the same case. It's just a little bit more jerky. But Feraligatr is a lot bigger than both of them. And honestly, if I was stranded on an island and somehow got my hand on a Feraligatr's worth of crocodile jerky, I'd be excited. That would last me like a month. So I'd put it in just okay. Okay, next up is squirrel. What does squirrel taste like? Squirrel is one of the most sustainable proteins you can cook, really. It is almost exactly the same taste as rabbit. Dang, almost the same taste as rabbit? I mean, I myself have never had rabbit before. But like, it's a thing. People eat rabbit for like Easter sometimes, I think. So like, it's not out of the question. For me, I personally wouldn't eat it unless I'm desperate, but I'll put in just okay. Same thing with furret. It's just a bigger squirrel, so it'd be dinner for two instead of one. Okay, next up we've got Hoot Hoot. Now, can you even eat owl? Are they edible? Can you eat owl? No! Here's why. Owls are bird of prey, and they taste poor due to their diet. Also, hunting and eating owls is illegal since these wild birds are protected by the law. So what I'm hearing is you can eat owls, it's just illegal. They are edible, and they don't taste good, but they're edible. So if I was stranded in a forest and somehow found an owl, I'd kill it and eat it if I could. So I'll put it in if I'm desperate, I'll eat it, but like, I wouldn't eat it on my spare time. Noctowl, honestly the same thing. It might be bigger, but I wouldn't eat it unless I was desperate. Next we've got Ladybug, which honestly probably doesn't have much taste. It's what, like this big? It's honestly probably just protein, so just okay. Honestly, same thing with Ladian. Probably no taste and just some protein. It's just okay. Now, Spinnerack, on the other hand, is a spider and not just a regular bug. It's kind of creepy to me to eat spiders, but I guess I could if I was desperate for calories. I'm putting it in if I was desperate. Ariados, on the other hand, I would be afraid of poisoning myself. So I'm actually going to make a new tier for this. Yeah, Ariados is just going in the poisonous tier. Crobat, same thing as Zubat and Golbat from last generation. COVID's already around, and it was caused by these guys. It's going in poisonous. Next up's Chinchou, which honestly I'd be afraid to eat. I mean, water and electricity do not mix well together, so if I ate it, I might electrocute myself. I'm putting in no shot. Same thing for Lantern. It might even have higher voltage, so definitely no shot. Pichu is just a tiny electric mouse, pretty much the same as Pikachu, just small. Similar to Pikachu, I would fear it electrocuting me, but not nearly as much as Chinchou or Lantern, because it's not also water type. So maybe if I was desperate, I would eat it. Next up is Cleffa, the pre-evolution of Clefairy, the literal fairy Pokemon. I think it would taste divine. I mean, it's a fairy, it has to taste divine, right? It's going in absolute delicacy. Now, Igglybuff to me would be like eating a stuffed animal. It just seems fluffy and not enjoyable to eat, and probably doesn't like give you any nutrients or anything. It's honestly a no shot for me. Even if I was desperate, I would not eat like a stuffed animal. Now, Togepi is literally an egg. I could make an omelet out of him. He's an absolute delicacy. Togetic, on the other hand, is like a baby chicken. And you know how people eat eggs and people eat full-grown chickens? there's not really many who eat baby chickens. So honestly, I'd only eat it if I was desperate. I would way rather wait like a few years until it's a full grown chicken and just eat it then. So if I was desperate, I'd eat it, but I'd just wait. Have you ever wanted to eat Pokemon? Well, with Factor, you can't. Wait, what? Factor doesn't offer Pokemon? Not even execute Benedict? Okay, so maybe you can't eat Pokemon, but you can eat some delicious food. This sun-dried tomato chicken fusilli was one of my favorites, and it's calorie smart. Factor also offers meals from a plethora of different lifestyles, like keto, calorie smart, or vegan. If you're interested in trying Factor, use my link in the description below and code FACTORSE1906. Back to the rest of the video. Next up we've got Natu. What type of bird is Natu? Natu is a tiny bird. That doesn't help. I mean, like, maybe if I was desperate. I think it's kind of the same case as Togetic, where I'd rather eat it when it's fully grown as a Xatu. So yeah, if I was desperate, I would eat it. Next up, Xatu. It's like a bird. So honestly, it's probably just okay. It's just like eating any random bird. It's not gonna taste as good as chicken, but it's gonna be nutritious. Except some Mareep, which is just too adorable to eat. There's no way I'm eating this little thing. Flaffy, on the other hand, is pink and reminds me of that electrifying chewing gum in Spy Kids. Like, look at this clip. Not only is it food, it's a weapon. Flaffy is an absolute delicacy. Ampharos is weird to me. Is this supposed to be a sheep? Because where's its wool? Ampharos is the light Pokemon, not the sheep Pokemon. I mean, how do you even eat light? I honestly think this deserves a new tier. I just made a tier called How Do You Eat This? I don't know how you eat it. Next up, we've got Blossom. Honestly, it's just a salad with some flowers on it, but I can just take the flowers off. For things like Meganium, if I take the flowers off, I'm left with a fleshy dinosaur. Blossom, if I take the flowers off, I still have a salad left. It's an absolute delicacy. Next up, we've got Meryl, which honestly is just an aquatic mouse. It would probably be a cross between eating a fish and a mouse, which fishes are edible. People eat them all the time. Mouses are also edible, but people don't really eat them, so probably just okay. Azumarill, pretty much the same case, just slightly bigger. Okay, so next is Sudowoodo, who's literally just a tree. You can't eat trees. Like, your body does not digest bark, so it's a no shot. Next up's Politoed. People eat frog legs, and it's like considered a delicacy, so I think I have to put it in absolute delicacy. Then we've got Hoppip. Honestly, what is that? Like basil on top of its head? It's fine. Basil's yummy. I'd put it in yummy. It's not like a meal. It's just something you'd put on top of other food. Skiploom, on the other hand, has like a flower on top. Like I said before, I wouldn't really eat flowers unless I was desperate, so I'm putting it in that tier. And Jumpluff's got cotton balls on it, which are not edible. You cannot digest cotton balls, so it's a no shot. It's similar to Sudowoodo. Yeah, next up, we've got Aipom. Can you eat monkeys? I mean, Aipom's a monkey, right? The Congolese view monkey meat as an ordinary delicacy and a must-eat. Interesting. I mean, they said it was an ordinary delicacy, not an absolute. So I'll put it in yummy, because they said it's a must-eat, but it's just an ordinary delicacy. It's not absolute. Next, we've got Sunkern. It's a kernel. You could make popcorn out of this thing. It's going straight in absolute delicacy. Next up, Sunflora. Again, I don't like the taste of flour. I wouldn't even eat this thing because it doesn't have meat attached to it. At least for Meganium and Skiploom, it's like, you know, it's got like a body, but Sunflora is just like a stem and a flower. So it's just a no shot. Next up's Yanma, who is a dragonfly. Are dragonflies even edible? Okay, so apparently they're edible and can taste like crab? I mean, personally, I don't eat crab. I don't like it. I think it tastes kind of gross, but a bunch of people do. I have to put in absolute delicacy. Next up is Whooper. What is Whooper? The water fish poke. This is a fish? I mean, it's gotta taste kind of gross. It's water ground type? So is it like eating a fish with dirt in it? That sounds really gross. I mean, since it's a fish, I'm gonna have to guess it's at least edible. So I'm gonna put it in if I'm desperate, maybe I'd eat it. Same thing with Quagsire. It's just gonna be able to feed more people. It's a water fish somehow. if I was desperate. Next up is Espeon, which is like a cat, but it's psychic type, so it'd probably get me high, like I was on LSD. Personally, I wouldn't eat this thing, but I'm sure a bunch of people would if it gave you a high, so I'm gonna put it in the desperate tier. Umbreon's on like the opposite side of the spectrum, where Espeon would get you like happy high, Umbreon would get you like sad high. I'm gonna put in no shot. Next up, we got Murkrow. Are crows edible? I feel like they're not for some reason. Yes, you can eat crow. Okay, I was wrong. I mean, I'll put in just okay then. Okay, Slowking. So, I messed up on my Gen 1 tier list because I completely forgot that Slowpoke tails were a food. And I put them, I don't know, like if I was desperate or something. Slowking is just the king of them, so it's gotta taste better, right? I have to put it in absolute delicacy. A Slowking tail? Woo! Misdrevious is a ghost type. How do you even eat this thing? It's gonna go in the how do you eat this tier. Yeah, next up is Unknown, which would kind of, I feel like, be like eating Legos. Just like hard plastic. And it's like black hard plastic, so there's probably like lead paint in it. I'm gonna say it's poisonous. Next up, we've got Wobbuffet, who is literally a punching bag. I don't think it's possible to eat a punching bag, so I'm gonna put it in how do you eat this. And then there's Giraffe Rig. Are giraffes edible? Can you eat giraffe? Yes, you can eat giraffe. Giraffe meat is a delicacy in some parts of the world. I mean, I guess that clears it up. It goes straight in absolute delicacy. Next up, Pineco, which is a pine cone. For some reason, I feel pine cones are poisonous. Okay, I was wrong. Pine cones are not toxic for humans, but some might have allergic reactions to pine cones. Honestly, I wouldn't even risk the allergic reaction. I'm just gonna put Pineco in no shot. Next up is Fortress, which I feel like would be eating like a turtle shell. It's like not possible. I'm gonna put in how do you eat this. Then there's Dunsparce. What even is this Pokemon? Dunsparce is the land snake Pokemon. Why does it have wings? Even if I was stranded like in the desert and I saw this thing, I don't think I'd eat it. I think I'd keep searching for something else. That's a no shot for me. Next up, we've got Gligar, which is like a flying scorpion, kind of. And I know scorpions are edible because I've seen pictures of like scorpion candy. Let me find a picture of it. Yeah, I've seen this before. It's just like a lollipop with a scorpion in the middle. I don't know why you'd eat this, but I guess you can. I mean, I'm gonna say just okay. Steelix is literally just steel. It's a how do you eat this. Next up, we've got Snubbull, which is a dog. I wouldn't eat it. There's cultures around the world that do eat dogs. I'll put it in if I was desperate, maybe. Same thing with a Granbull. It's a dog. Again, I wouldn't eat it if I was desperate. Next, there's Quillfish, which is a blowfish. And for those of you who don't know, a blowfish has to be prepared perfectly by a chef. And if they mess up, it's poisonous. So I'm just gonna put in the poisonous tier. Even if it's prepared perfectly, I'm never gonna eat it. I'd never risk it. Next up, we've got Scizor. I mean, it's got like crab claws. Maybe there's some meat inside it. I'll put in if I was desperate, I'd at least try to crack it open to see if I can get some meat from it. Next, there's Shuckle, which I think is an oyster. Shuckle is the mold Pokemon. What does that mean? You know what? I'm gonna take it literally. This Pokemon is moldy. I would get food poisoning if I ate moldy food. It's going in poisonous. Next up, we've got Heracross. For some reason, Heracross is giving me like human vibes. I don't know why. Look at it. It doesn't look human at all. But for some reason, I feel like I'd be committing a crime if I ate it. I'm just gonna put it in no shot. Next up, we've got Sneasel. What type of animal is Sneasel? Sneasel resembles both a cat and a weasel. That makes sense. Cats, I wouldn't eat. I wouldn't eat a weasel either. I'll put it in if I was desperate, I'd eat it, but it's not something I'd search for unless like absolutely necessary. Next up is Teddiursa. There's no shot I'm eating this thing. Look how cute it is. No shot. Ursaring, on the other hand, is huge. It's a giant bear. I could probably feed like 3 to 4 families with the meat from it. Honestly, an absolute delicacy. Next up, we've got Slugma. Okay, actually though, Slugma is like eating molten jello. It would probably kill me. It's not poisonous, but there's no way I would eat it. My Cargo is literally the same thing as Slugma, just with a giant rock on top of it, which makes it even less edible. So even more no shot. Next up, we've got Swinub, which isn't it like a pig, like a prehistoric pig? It's got like a pig snout. I'd probably eat it. I'm gonna put it in yummy. Piloswine, honestly, the same thing, but even bigger. I could probably feed a family or two with it. I'll put it in absolute delicacy. Okay, next up's Corsola. What is Corsola supposed to be? Oh, the coral Pokemon. You can't eat coral because it's as hard as a rock, which would be bad for your teeth. Really? Yeah, so Corsola is just going in how would you eat this tier. Next up's Remoraid. Literally just a fish. It's an absolute delicacy. Octillery. It's just an octopus. Again, just an absolute delicacy. Next up, we've got Delibird, which I think is a penguin. Let me make sure. Delibird is a red penguin-like Pokemon with a white hollow tail. So it's not a penguin, but it's close enough. Are penguins edible? Okay, so penguin meat is not toxic, but it's also not really eaten in any cuisine. So I guess I'd put them in just okay. It's edible. It's not really eaten often. Just okay. Next up, we've got Mantine, which is a manta ray. I don't think I'd ever eat one of those in my life. It's just a no shot, to be honest. Skarmory is on like the same level as Scizor, that if I was extremely desperate, I would at least try to break it open, see if there's any meat inside. But honestly, it's just like a steel bird, and it's probably not gonna have much meat. Houndour, literally just a dog. If I was desperate, I guess. Same thing with Houndoom, just a bigger dog if I'm desperate. Next up, we've got Kingdra, which is just a seahorse. Last time in Gen 1, we checked if Seadra was edible, and Seadra would be edible. So I guess if I'm desperate, maybe I'd eat Kingdra. Next up, we've got Fanfi. There's no shot I'm eating this thing. Even if elephants are edible, it's too adorable. It's a no shot. Donphan, on the other hand, though, is going to make me have to look up if they're edible. It looks like in Africa, elephant meat is a delicacy. So I guess by default, I have to put it in absolute delicacy. Next up's Porygon 2, which reminds me of those like ceramic ducks. It's not something you can eat, so it's going to go in how do you eat this. Next up, Stantler. It's just a deer. I'd put in just okay. Then we've got Smeargle, which is probably poisonous. Now you might be saying it's just a dog. Yes, but there's paint on it, and paint can have lead. So I'm going to put it in poisonous. Next, we've got Tyrogue, which is similar to Gen 1 when I said I'd probably get arrested if I ate Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee. I'm going to make a new tier specifically for that. Tyrogue's going in the I'd be arrested tier. Hitmontop, exact same case. It's a little too human for me, so it's going to be going I'd be arrested. Smoochum. It looks like a child. I don't want to eat that. I'd be arrested. Next up's Elekid, which literally has a power cord on its head. I think I would die from it. So I'll put in the no shot. There's no way I'm eating that thing. Next up is Magby, which honestly, what is this thing? Magby is the live coal Pokemon. What? I mean, I wouldn't eat coal. I guess no shot. Next up on the table is Miltank. Miltank is like the perfect Pokemon to eat. It's a cow and it has milk. It's a tier above absolute delicacy. I'm gonna make a new one. I made a tier called Perfect Food. Miltank is the perfect food. Next up's Blissey, which literally has an egg attached to it. Not only do you get healing properties from eating a Blissey, you also get to have a nice omelet. Absolute delicacy. Next up are the 3 legendary dogs, and probably the most edible out of all of them are Entei. Raikou, there's the chance of getting electrocuted. Suicune is probably frozen. Entei is honestly just like a regular dog with like a weird mask on. Entei is going to be an if I was desperate, and honestly the other two, Raikou and Suicune, are both going in no shot. Next you got Larvitar, which is like, the entire line is kind of like a dinosaur. Maybe if I was desperate, I'd eat Larvitar. Pupitar is like eating like a cocoon. That sounds disgusting. That's a no shot. And then Tyranitar is like just a bigger Larvitar. Probably just okay because I could feed more people with it. Onto Lugia, which is just, you know, like a legendary bird. It's like mythical. It'd probably taste phenomenal. I'm gonna put in absolute delicacy. And Ho-Oh, honestly, the exact same case as Lugia. It's a legendary bird. It's mythical. It probably tastes divine. Straight into absolute delicacy. Last but not least, we've got Celebi. Now, Celebi is a grass type. It's definitely something you could probably eat, and it probably would taste pretty good, but it is very small. So although it might taste very good, it will not fill you up. I'm gonna put in yummy, because it would be like a piece of candy. It's not there to fill you up, it's just there to be tasty. Celebi's going in yummy. And that's the end of the list.